cars on the warm-up lap for the first race of the weekend. 14 laps ahead for the All Porsche Championship, and Craig Baird, four-time series champ, will start from pole. Nick Percat will be alongside. I wanted to show you something cool, Brad. This is the car that we'll see in Carrera Cup next year. It's got a paddle shift gearbox. The first time we've seen it in a Carrera Cup car. It's got more power, 460 horsepower. It's a bit fatter, it's a bit meaner, it's got a bit more aerodynamics, it's a bit more everything. It is the fourth generation of Carrera Cup car that we'll have in this country since the series began back in 2003. It's a good bit of kit. I want one.
Wow, it certainly looks a business, doesn't it? As you said, got more horsepower, a little bit nastier looking. It looks like something to have.
You could have one, couldn't you? Come back?
I'm not sure about the price tag.
Well, you know, they're good running costs.
Yeah.
Okay, I tried. Craig Baird on pole, that's not a new thing. It is in Townsville. He's never won a race here in the couple of years that Carrera Cup have been here, but he does lead the points. 44.5 clear of Warren Luff, Nick Percat third, Stevie Richards fourth. It's 60 points for a race win, so those guys are all within striking distance should something happen to Baird in this race. And those four drivers are the guys who have endurance drives later in the year in the V8 Supercars. Confirmed this week that Craig Baird will be back with Lee Holdsworth in the number 4 Irwin entry. Warren Luff, of course, back with Craig Lowndes. They won the Sandown 500 last year. Stephen Richards back with Mark Winterbottom. And Nick Percat moves across to drive with Tony D'Alberto in the Hi-Flex Commodore. He had a drive of that car yesterday, so it's no surprise that those guys are up the front in this field. And
was very quick in that car, I might add. But you've got to talk about Craig Baird for a little bit. He's evergreen, isn't he? He just keeps on getting the job done in this class. He's the one to beat, has been for years, and obviously is going to be today. Now, pole in the elite class. Remember the fight within the fight. Shane Smollett, he'll start from 7th. Max Twigg, reigning champ in that category, is 11th. He won the last round of this series outright at Sydney Motorsport Park. He teamed up with Luke Youlden. There was a pair of 60-minute races, and they were on top at the end of the weekend. He's still riding the crest of the wave into this weekend. 20 cars, green flag at the back, 14 laps. Race 1, round 4 of the Porsche Carrera Cup. Can Baird break through and finally win in Townsville? Can Percat add to the win that he had at Sydney Motorsport Park a few weeks ago? We're off and running. Baird's made the jump. Percat's gone with him. They've left the rest for dead. Warren Luff, though, down the outside of all of them. What a cracking start from Luffy. He's going to round up a couple of cars here, and look like we had a little bit of contact there. Richards down the inside, Luff the long way. Behind Richards is Shay Davies. Change for him this weekend. He's been in Team Kiwi's number 21 car, but he's back in the guest car from Porsche Cars Australia. Car number 88, the black, green and white car. There it is going through. And Richards got a little bit sideways coming out of turn 1, which has dropped him in behind Luff. There's Shane Smollett, one of the elite class drivers. Dushan Padiachi, Tony Bates, then Max Twigg. We jump aboard and look back from Stephen Richards and the laser plumbing and electrical Porsche, the Tag Heuer. On-car camera looking back at the Western Australian Michael Patrizzi. But it's Baird and Percat, 1 and 2. Percat won his first Carrera Cup race at the Rennsport round a month or so ago. This is back in the pack with James Bergmuller. Trying to get a move on Renee Gracie, who is in her rookie year in the Fujitsu Porsche. And this is the first car that Renee has driven or raced, and she's doing an amazing job. You know, it's a pretty tough job jumping one of these things. They're very, very tricky to drive, and she's made an improvement every time she's got in the car, getting closer and closer and closer to the group, and she's in the race now, which is great. Shay Davies looking pretty racy here. Patrizzi also having a look down at turn 2 on Stephen Richards. Luff a little bit wide. This will open the door for Richo. We jump aboard the laser Porsche. And it's been a while since Richo ran at the front consistently. He struggled a little bit last year, but he has had a race win this year at Albert Park earlier on in the season. In these sort of categories where the cars are so close, it's always hard to get a bit of a run, and you've got to work pretty hard to pass someone. You need to make sure that you're coming out of a corner, you've got the car nice and straight, hard on the throttle, and you can just slide by down the inside. So to get an advantage is difficult, but you know, our 2 leaders... Oh, Richo makes a mistake, locked it up, nearly hit Luff. That was so close. Patrizzi's through, and now Shay Davies is trying to make a move as well, but he's on the wrong side for this last turn. Wow, Richo was lucky to gather that up and get around the corner at all. He was so close to making a bit of contact there. His heart rate will be up around 210 at this point in time. He'll be needing to breathe a little bit to gather himself up. And when you're in this close a competition, you don't have much time to get things sorted out and get back in control.
And just here, they're hitting 6th gear, 245 k's an hour, but then it's bang, bang, bang. Sequential gearbox back to second, 70 k's at the apex of that one. But you're back up to 4th at 175 k's before you're back down to 2nd. It's a pretty busy track.
Very busy track, but I mean, these cars, Porsches, I love Porsches. My father had one when I was a kid. Always my dream to always own one. Here's Richo now. Have a look at that.
Whoa.
He's just got in a little bit deep, and you see the front of the car dive down. He realizes what's going on, turns to the left. And you hear that chatter. That chatter as the car is stopping, is the brakes starting to want to hop on the road, and the tyre just grabbing hold of the road and letting go. So he knew what was going on there, and he's just done an amazing job to stay on the track and only drop a position or two. And
Steve Richards 5th in the championship last year. Of course, he's raced here before in V8 supercars with FPR in those first 2 years that the Townsville 400 event was on the calendar. Fight here between a range of the elite drivers, Shane Smolin, best of them at the moment, 7th overall. That's a good result because he's got a pro in Duversham Padiachi behind him. Tony Bates next, then Max Twigg and Damien Flack, but this is really deep, down to turn 2. And then wide against the wall. And this section actually brings you back into Reed Park and the Parklands part of the circuit.
And we're going to see a bit of action here.
Smolin and Padiachi fighting for.
And when you're driving the car in front, you're aware, you just get it in the corner of your eye, in the mirror, the car moving in and out of vision at the back there. So you're trying to put yourself in a position where the guy can't easily pass you, so you can maintain your lead, but also so you can continue to march forward and try and put a bit of a gap between you and he, so you can, you know, get a bit of pressure off on Renee Gracie.
Off the road, and
looks like she's might have a little bit of a problem there.
That's turn 2.
Doesn't look like she's hit anything.
No, that's a little bit strange, but there's no power being generated from that Fujitsu car. That's one of the cars run by McElray Racing, the Queensland-based team that look after this man, Warren Luff, and also Michael Patrizzi. Out front, though, Craig Baird, the lead is 1.2 seconds to Nick Percat, who's nearly 3 seconds down the road from the fight between these guys, and indeed safety cars being called.
There's a bit of contact.
Just a little. Sorry.
Yeah, he gives him a bit of a wave, and what's happening there is someone's backed off a little bit due to the safety car. The guy in the second car hasn't really seen it.
So that brings the lead that Craig Baird had back to nothing. It brings Percat up to the back of the Jet Travel Insurance Porsche. In fact, Baird is coming off his worst round in 6 years. He was 7th overall at the Rennsport event in Sydney. And normally to some guys, 7th would actually be a good weekend, but for Baird, he still leads the championship, though. He's aiming for his 5th title. We're under safety car. Renee Gracie is out of this one. 4 laps down of Porsche Carrera Cup. Well, the green flag is flying. We are back to race conditions. Craig Baird leads us back to the control line. 6 laps down in race 1, round 4 of Porsche Carrera Cup in Townsville. Nick Percat is leading the queue of chasing cars. The Coates Hire 222 car, and that looked like a front splitter coming off one of the cars. Stephen Richards is the car that has come off from the contact that he had just before we went to the break and had the safety car period. But this has become effectively another race, Brad Jones, because all the margin that Craig Baird had, all the margin that Nick Percat had is gone.
It is, and what we didn't see is Percat was right under the rear wing of Bairdo coming onto the straight, but he just quite didn't get that run, and it's allowed Baird to skip away a little bit. He needs to be right on him and keep the pressure on him. Stephen Richards is having a lot of trouble with his car without that front rubber strip we've seen on it. It's got too much air going under the front of the car. You'll see it fly off here.
There it goes.
And so what's happening now is the car will not turn the way it's meant to, and so he's going to have a lot of trouble getting that car to go around a corner.
And that's why Shay Davies, who's just behind him, is a pain in the neck because he's crawling all over the back of car number 12.
And I doubt Steve knows why his car isn't handling as nicely as it was. He'd be trying to work out what's going on unless he saw the bit of black rubber peel off the car. He would have definitely heard the noise. When we look at the front of the car, you see how much higher it looks now than all the cars around it. It's got so much air going under the front of it now. Not so much downforce at the front, and I would suspect it's understeering. He'll need to adjust the way he drives that car, which he's doing nicely, to stay with these guys that he's racing with.
The top two again have sprinted away. Here's Shane Smolin again, who is leading elite, and at 7th overall is on target to equal his best ever race result in Carrera Cup, which is a great achievement. These guys, the elite class drivers, they're effectively amateurs. This is their high-speed game of golf. They don't do motor racing as a profession or a career path, and some of them do a really good job to mix it with these guys who do it week in, week out.
Absolutely. Some of these guys, I mean, Nick Percat, Berto, as you said, Warren Luff, these guys are all sharing cars with people that can potentially win at Bathurst, and for these guys to be able to mix it in this group, it's great to see.
We mentioned earlier on and showed you the graphic of the new car for next year, and had a few questions on Twitter of what happens to these cars. Well, there's a home for them. It's called the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. It's essentially what the Dunlop Series is to V8 supercars. It's the next level, and it's where the superseded cars will be eligible to race. So that answers that question. Keep them coming in on Twitter, at Aaron Noonan, and of course, hashtag V8SC. Patrizzi here. He's had a look at Luff a couple of times down at turn 2, but hasn't got enough to get it done. This is a replay looking forward at Stephen Grove, who is one of the guys who runs in both GT3 Cup and Carrera Cup. And this is back to the front with Nick Percat just locking the left front Michelin.
And just getting the balance right. You see how they bounce when they hit the curbs here. When you turn the car into the corner and you load up that rear tyre, it unloads the inside wheel, and so it's very easy to get a bit of brake lock up, and all that tells you is Nick Percat is driving that thing as hard as he can, trying to stick with Craig Baird, and at the moment those two are just a little bit better than anyone else out there.
And Craig Baird's just set the fastest second sector of this race and caught up with his team boss, team manager Carl Batson, who runs that car, and he was really happy with how they rolled out yesterday. And Craig said the thing about when you drive a Bats car is that everything's sorted. The drink bottle's full, all the little things that I like are sorted. Oh, Max Twigg, Permagard Porsche has gone around, and that will drop him way back in the order. He was just in the top 10 in position 9. He drops right back in front between Grove and Bergmuller, who gives him a little bit of a hurry up as well. In front, Michael Lochisano and Mark Seaney, the pair of teammates in the Hallmark Porsches. Here's a replay of how he did it. I think he's done it himself. Oh, Padiacci turns in, little pirouette, waits for the gap in the traffic to flick turn. Actually does too, just to be sure.
Yeah, he'd be even angrier now.
And I think that was part of the plan.
You know, what that's all about is Max has come down the inside. He feels that he's far enough up. And, you know, it's always hard to know. You need to, the people you're racing with needs to be a little bit of give and take. Certainly from the other side, it would be, oh, what have we got?
Paul Kelly, the Kiwi, has had a spin on the exit of turn 7 and got it going. And
everyone's got around him without any contact, which is great.
Yeah, which you don't generally have an unspectacular moment at that turn when you do have one. He's got it going again just in front of Tony Walls, one of the rookies this year in Carrera Cup. You can see here, these are the elite class drivers. The race here is probably just as good, if not better sometimes, than with the pros at the front. Here's the replay. Padiacci's wide. I bet Kelly's wide. Oh, got the inside curb, and it flicks him around. And James Kanduris takes avoiding action. The rest of them go left and right, and they get on with the job.
Definitely looking to get back to where he was pretty quickly, and he's got a reasonable amount of speed here.
And now he's lunging, trying to get past Mark Seaney, of course. Seaney holds the record. More Carrera Cup starts in this country than any other driver. He's one of the guys who's the backbone of this series. 62 rounds completed this weekend. We've only ever had 71, so he's nearly got the full set, but he won't be able to stop Max Twig from sneaking down the inside. A little rub on the way through too.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be that expensive to repair a Porsche, would it?
Spoken like a true team owner. Craig Baird's built that margin again. He's unstoppable. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:15.11. The margin's 2 seconds to Percat, who in turn is 2.5 seconds clear of Warren Luff. So they're the two formed cars in Carrera Cup this weekend in Townsville, which we've been here 2 years before. Daniel Gort, the winner in 2011. Johnny Reid, the winner in 2012. And in fact, of the 6 races, Kiwis have won 5. If Baird wins this one, that'll be 6 out of 7. We need to get the Aussies up there tomorrow.
I was going to say, that's almost unbearable, isn't it, from an Australian point of view?
It's an Australian Carrera Cup, not an Australasian Carrera Cup. Here's the gaps. Here's Luff, P3. Patrizzi 4th. Richards hanging on with that front splitter gone. He's still managed to stay in touch, and he's dropped off Shea Davies, in fact.
Well, and there's a lot to adjust on these cars. So for me, with him, it would just be, he'd be thinking, oh, this feels a bit different. But you change the way the driver came. I drag the brake a little bit more on the way into the corner to get it to turn. You just try different tricks. When things change in your car and you don't have the ability to adjust anti-roll bars, you might pull it up a little bit more before you get to the corner so you can make it turn and then get on the throttle harder than you normally would. There's lots of different things you can do when you're a professional race car driver to help the car respond the way you want it to. And you can see from his hand action inside that car, he is working that car pretty hard to stay where he is.
Craig Baird is on the run home. This will be the last lap this time around, so it'll be 1 lap short. Oh, Marcini, left rear, look at the rim. That's damage to the Hallmark car. Ooh. Wouldn't mind betting there's been some... Oh, James Bergmuller further on down the road is in the tyre wall. So I don't know if those two have been together, and Bergmuller hasn't made it around the next corner.
Yeah,
but
you'd think they're somewhat connected, possibly.
Yellow flags are out. This might tell us what's going on. Oh, wide. Bergmuller out wide. A slowing car in front of it. Compressed the pack. On board with Bergmuller. Steve Grove in front. Seen slow off the turn.
Ooh, that looks expensive. It's always hard to know, but I'd say Sini's starting to have a tyre problem.
And there it goes. It's
already there. Yeah, I suspect, I mean, we won't know, but I suspect that was started due to a flat rear tyre.
Craig Baird, no flat tyres here. He's on his way home for his first race win on the streets of Townsville. His 5th race win of the year. Chalk Up career win, 53. Craig Baird takes race 1. Nick Percat did keep him honest. He's home in 2nd, the former Bathurst champ. Warren Luff is 3rd, Patrizzi next. And Stevie Richards did a good job to hang on there. Battle for the elites will go to Shane Smolin, who's got a pro in Paniaci behind him. That's a big tick.
Absolutely. He's drove very, very well.
Damien Flack, 9th overall, 2nd in elite. But Craig Baird, he is the man. He's fighting for his 5th Carrera Cup title, and he's looking the goods at the moment. He extends the margin in the series. As I mentioned, Flack 9th. Tony Bates rounds out the top 10, 3rd.